Welcome to Lyric Lab Poetry. My name's Martin Jago, and in this video we're going to focus on poetry journaling, how to start a poetry journal, or if you already have one, how to maintain it and how to keep it going, how to help it help you and your poetry grow. This is a subject that's very close to my heart. We've touched on it previously, but I want to take a deeper dive. When I say close to my heart, I mean in a literal sense as well, as I tend to keep my poetry journals right here in my pocket. I can pull out at any time to scribble down ideas. If you ever find yourself stuck in a creative rut, if you're feeling uninspired, if your writing seems not to get started, time and again when you sit down to write, then a poetry journal could be the perfect solution. There are lots of reasons for keeping a poetry journal, or not just a poetry journal, but a kind of life journal. This isn't something you need to sit down and write like a diary every single day, although I do use my journal every day. But I think it's a place where you can unpack ideas and share random thoughts. And I think it was Nietzsche, wasn't it, who said that there are two presiding gods of poetry. One is Dionysius, the wild and the chaotic, and then Apollo is there to help harmonize and order thoughts. And that's when we use the poetry journal and transfer ideas and begin shaping ideas into what might become a poem. And often keeping a poetry journal isn't just about the poetry and poetry for poetry's sake. This is about you and your self-expression and your personal development. Sharing ideas on the page and reflecting on things that you're going through is actually a very good thing to do regardless of poetry. Regardless of poetry? First question, digital or paper? I actually use a combination of both physical journals like these ones and then also my laptop where I keep a file which is dedicated for the kind of scribblings I make in these books, which is sometimes hard to decipher because the handwriting really does need attention. But I also doodle and scribble, and I love the physical aspect of a poetry journal that I can carry around with me. Not always practical to lug my laptop, and I use kind of these smaller notebooks as well, very flexible. They can fit easily into a back pocket. A slightly larger one here, which was gifted to me by the public library. Very handy kind of journals, and everything goes in here. It's not just about poetry, it's about strange ideas and thoughts, things I see in the street or in the news, ideas that I just add here to process and then maybe later reflect on and then think about how or why. There's usually a seed in there, the seed of an idea or the thought that this might become a poem at some point, but it's just playing. And I think that's a very important thing to remember as artists. One of the things that separates artists from a lot of other people is that sense of play, that sense of mischief, that sense of fun in the process. And also, of course, with a journal, the pressure is off. We're not trying to craft the perfect poem in a poetry journal. Sometimes it's just about that stream of consciousness, letting those ideas out free and unencumbered by the pressure to create something meaningful or original or free from cliche and metaphor and so on and so forth. So it's a powerful tool, and we shouldn't really, I think, write it off. There's never a point in the career of a poet where a poetry journal can't help. There's another very important thing to remember here regarding keeping a journal, and that is that the habit is really good for you as a writer because it creates focus and discipline. Maybe where previously there was a lack of focus and discipline, just carrying this book around with you, scribbling notes and ideas, it gets you into the regular habit of writing. And it really helps to unblock writer's block as well. I found that to be the case time and again. And remember, you make the rules, so all writing counts, whether you sit down and write in a journal for 5 minutes or whether it's just one line that comes to you that you put down in that journal. I'm just trying to decipher these scribblings of a madman here. It really is about drafts, fragments, and feelings often. That's the thing about a poetry journal. It doesn't have to be the finished product or anywhere near it, or even anywhere near the starting point. It's just about sharing ideas and connecting your ideas to the page. Raw and unfinished, imperfect, those are all the things that are important about keeping a journal, because it demonstrates that you are not worrying yet or bothering yourself and your subconscious with perfection. So I'm going to share 3 journaling prompts. These are not poetry prompts. They are journaling prompts. Even if you are exploring them through poetry, they are intended for your journal and nowhere else. The first one is called Word Spill. And the way it works is this: you're going to choose a word, a random word like fog or silence or sound. You're going to set a timer and you are going to write non-stop for 5 minutes. Don't lift that pen off the page. If you're using a physical notebook or if you're typing away at the keyboard, don't pause for thoughts. Don't allow thought to come in a conscious way. Just keep writing until the timer goes off. Then it's time to go back and look over what you've written and begin circling any lines or phrases or images that might seed future poems, the interesting bits. And this is the kind of exercise you can return to again and again. Or if you're working on a poem that you're having trouble with, take a word that represents that poem and do the same exercise, but free from the pressure of crafting the poem. This will turn up new ideas, fresh images and metaphors that you can then apply to the poem you're working on. Okay, jumping straight into prompt 2, a journaling prompt to help grow and strengthen your writing. This prompt is called the Poetic Inventory. And the way it works is you're going to choose a topic, a subject, for example, the morning outside my window, my office, or my dirty kitchen. You're then going to start writing about that topic and try to draw on every sensory detail, the smell, the feel, the look of the place. Small details, for example, the hum of my refrigerator as if it's thinking. Again, I would suggest a timer for this exercise is really, really helpful. The point about the timer is, people ask me about this sometimes, well, why do you have to time it? You don't have to time it at all. You could just do the free writing and just keep going. But the useful thing about timing is that it really helps to move us along without pausing and reflecting too much internally about the quality of what we're doing. Just having the seconds ticking away adds a kind of healthy pressure to what you're doing. The third and final journaling prompt in this video is called Past Self, Future Self. And you can take a page of your journal. You can see it's got a bit of a crease in the middle of it because I've actually done this exercise. What you do is you fold the page right down the middle. So it's folded vertically. And then on one side of the page, you write past self, and then on the opposite side, you write future self. And then you're going to begin a dialogue with your past and future selves. Let each side of the page talk in short 1 or 2 line bursts in a poem style. They can ask questions, they can reflect on choices, they can offer advice. Don't aim for rhyme or form. Think instead in terms of rhythm and tone and feeling. It could be your poetry journals, past and future selves, having a conversation. So those are your 3 journaling prompts. And here's an invitation. Get started on your poetry journal today, or if you have a poetry journal but haven't written in it for a while, return to it and don't worry about the right words, just get started writing. Your inner poet is there waiting for you to pick up the pen. We should remember that waiting for inspiration can be a really, really long wait. It's probably a better idea just to get started, and the action of started will allow inspiration into your writing. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, please do click on the like button and the subscribe button, and please do also share these videos. I will be back soon with more poetry content.